So Santa may know Dasher, Dancer, and Prancer, but does he know the cost of shipping containers in the US ports? It is a question that the man in the red suit might want to know, and it's something toy suppliers have been dealing with all year. I have to remember when the internet was kind of that thing where you couldn't be on the computer and be on the phone at the same time because of, dial-up and all that. But to see it now, whole different story. So can you tell me a little bit more about the advancements the internet has come about and how it will influence business in the future? It's just as important to capture moments during the game as it is before. Whether if it's ensuring Cooper Kupp's amazing catch is highlighted or Jamar Chase doing his gritty dance in the end zone is captured on TikTok, Extreme Network says they have built a network to support the viewers' needs. I know we talked a lot about the federal government with these policies and whatnot, but I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper in like individual states. For instance, California, very aggressive with this approach, and they themselves have put out lofty goals for the next 5 years, next 10 years. Where can the federal government learn from a state like California where it has taken this approach seriously and is trying to reach those goals that they set for themselves? Once customers place their order online, they can park their car, walk in the restaurant, skip the lines, and just pick up your order off a shelf. So how easy is that? No wait time, and your food is hot and ready to go. I think even myself, I've gotten my credit card wiped down a couple of times by a clock that has been used multiple times. So it's like, is that really the most effective way? But picking back up on some of the things you guys highlighted on, and is that constantly wiping of these surfaces the most effective way of combating the virus? And Randy, I know you discussed some of the risks with this hygiene theater. Maybe if you and Daryl can elaborate a little bit more on some of the other risks that go into it. And to continue with that sports analogy, since you brought up the Celtics, we have to at least talk about the Super Bowl, because all of what you just talked about, I feel like was really pushed during the Super Bowl from the in-stadium experience. You saw it in the commercials. And obviously, I think the biggest example was in that halftime show. So talk a little bit about that technology and how it was used on probably one of the biggest stages in the world. For the past 2 decades, American Airlines Center has been home to some of Dallas's most iconic athletes. Dirk Nowitzki, Mike Modano, Luka Doncic, athletes that receive millions upon millions of dollars. Despite getting paid those millions and the expenses that go into building the stadium, probably one of the bigger expenses is the name on the stadium. American Airlines Center. Many stadiums across the country have also adopted this model, putting sponsorships on the names of their arena. Most recently, Staples Center, changing their name to Crypto.com Arena, shocking the NBA world. We asked sports marketing experts what this change could mean for stadium naming rights as a whole. It's a name for some sports fans that is as well known as the team mascot.
Right now is definitely the hottest naming rights market that we've ever seen in the history of North American sports.
Stadium naming rights have become as common as the fans in the arena. Different brands are paying millions of dollars to have their names be brought up in the same breath as the players scoring the touchdowns and hitting the home runs. It is a concept that started in the 20s, most notably with Wrigley Field in Chicago, and then in the 80s, a boom in those naming rights started to emerge. George Perry, a term instructor at George Mason University's Business School and a 22-year veteran of the sports marketing field, says there was a different incentive back then to get a stadium naming rights deal done.
I think initially in the 80s, there were the main reason was to do it was for brand exposure. A lot of times it was done for local community, to show the community that you care about the community, right? You got to remember, there wasn't as much money in sports in venues as there was now. So in some areas, the arena deals, the naming rights deals, were literally a way to help pay to put a field on the team, put a team on the field, or at least a good team on the field. So there was some sense of kind of civic pride if you sponsored the local, or if you named the local stadium, and that kind of got you in with the community.
Stadium naming rights now have evolved, especially when it comes to the money involved. In November, Staples Center, home to the Los Angeles Lakers, sold their naming rights to Crypto.com for $700 million, a nearly $600 million increase from when the arena was sold to Staples in 1999. John Stainer, managing director of Nielsen Sports, says the name change will see immediate results for Crypto.com during its introduction on Christmas Day.
Crypto.com is, it's not only going to benefit from a bumper crowd and an excited, energetic crowd at the arena on Christmas Day, but we'd expect an estimated 10 million plus viewers being reached through that broadcast and consuming at least kind of like 6 minutes of coverage of that broadcast. So yeah, this is a big deal for Crypto.com, both locally, nationally, and globally.
Partnering with a brand like the Lakers is truly a partnership that will have the world's eye. Nielsen Sports estimates that there are 100 million Lakers fans worldwide, 15 million being in America, and that popularity has already reaped the benefits as far as exposure. According to Nielsen Sports, over 1 week in November, there are 3,300 articles referring to Crypto.com, which reached 371 million impressions, equating to $4 million in discounted media. According to Stainer, naming rights with this amount of exposure helps brands reach new and existing customers.
They're super important in bringing like new investment and infrastructure and technology to aid fan engagement for the modern day consumer. Who want a more immersed and connected experience whilst they're at the game, and I think it really helps actually the fans connect with the brands.
These rights can do more than just connect companies with fans. Jason Miller, who is the Senior Vice President and Management Head of Property Sales at Excel Sports Management, helped negotiate a deal between Q2 and Austin FC for their stadium naming rights. Miller says these deals can go beyond having a D2C or B2B impact.
The amount of people that are watching an Austin FC match, attending a concert at that building, such a small percentage. Sometimes there may be nobody at that building that can actually transact with Q2. So for them, it was the brand awareness, but it was brand awareness more to their employees in that market. To impact the community in that market, to recruit and retain in a highly competitive market that is Austin, where you have, every company in the world setting up shop there.
It's avenues like these that have changed stadium naming rights forever and has made it a multi-million-dollar business. A business that must serve fans and brands from all fronts.
These sponsorships have evolved. They're no longer about, hey, pay me money, we'll put your name on the building and give you a few other things. This is about how do we turn this into a strategic win-win partnership between both parties. And if it's done right, both parties can benefit. If it's done wrong, that could cause troubles for one party or the other.
It's critical that any brand that's thinking about doing a naming rights deal that wants to engage with the entire fan base and team ecosystem, figure out ways to reach the at-home viewer. So no matter how good the at-home experience gets, you are going to need to have ways to engage with them.
The future of stadium naming rights has never been brighter. The avenues brands can utilize to capitalize on exposure is growing as the market is continuing to evolve. And who knows, in 20 years, this whole experience could be completely different. For more stories like this, be sure to head to marketscale.com as well as subscribe. I'm Justin Honore. Thank you for watching. City pride is as common as wall-to-wall traffic of a downtown corridor. It's the one thing that no matter the size of the city, everyone can rally around, especially when it comes to the city's sports teams. In turn, that community energy creates a market that can't be rivaled. It allows certain companies, if branded and advertised correctly, to create unique opportunities and stay true to the brand.
I saw Ben get drafted to the Cowboys.
Another quarterback off the board, Mel. JMU, Ben DiNucci goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
I actually shot him a DM on Instagram, hit him up, say, hey, went through his post, he just started liking a bunch of stuff, trying to get his attention, I got his attention. I shot him a DM like, hey man, just want to throw a couple hats, welcome to Dallas, right?
That DM from Sang Trong morphed into a business partnership that formulated True Brand, Dallas's own hat and streetwear clothing line inspired by the city that just drafted Ben DiNucci. The hat itself centered around a simple font with the word Dallas spelled across upside down to signify the upside down times many have experienced throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. But unlike other brands, True Brand has a unique play in their business playbook.
This is something that I could get in front of my teammates. I can get in front of a bunch of people just with the platform and the pull that a Cowboys player has, and so use that to my advantage.
That play is Dallas Cowboys quarterback Ben DiNucci.
DiNucci sidearms it to Fihoko.
It's a platform not many brands organically have. An active player on America's team, which is an avenue that opens up ample opportunities. Those opportunities are coming in the form of support from teammates, as star players such as CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Travion Diggs are all wearing DiNucci's hats both at practice and during press conferences. And arguably the biggest star of them all, the starting quarterback for America's team, Dak Prescott, buying 50 hats and periodically wearing them throughout the season.
When we get to putting up points the way we want to put them up.
Is allowing Trong and DiNucci to develop social media strategies around the Cowboys' official social media accounts.
And that whole aspect kind of took it to another level too. The Cowboys posting on their Instagram, 4 million followers, Dak walking to the plane with a hat on. We refreshed Twitter and we've got 500 new followers. What is that hat? And so I go into the comments, Sang goes into the comments, we comment at True Brand, people see that. They're directed to our page. And I think just the word of mouth and just the way that we've kind of been able to use social media to our advantage for marketing has really helped us.
What allowed the brand to pick up speed was leveraging 2021's training camp, in which the Cowboys were featured on HBO series Hard Knocks. With DiNucci being a focal point of the show, he and Truong used this as an opportunity to get more eyes on the hat, especially with scenes that featured DiNucci.
Quarterbacks are always one step ahead,
They're saying he was in check early, though.
He's been in check all game. He's just running.
Like setting a perfect trap in chess, that exposure led to immediate results. As each episode aired, sales flowed in.
I was sitting watching it on Tuesday night, and then all of a sudden, I just see a bunch of sales coming through on the Shopify, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? We didn't drop anything. We have no stock. And all of a sudden I click it and we've got like 150 people in the store. And
you just back and forth text messages the whole time. I mean, Ben and I just like seeing this, like we just.
I figured it was Hard Knocks. So I was like, wow, this is crazy.
DiNucci and Trong believe the future is bright for True Brand. Through marketing and social media strategies, they're developing a brand that is here to stay. But they believe success will continue to come as long as they stay true to the brand.
If you're gonna go out there and create a brand, create something that community can stand behind and resonate with, right? And so a lot of the communities today within any specific city, especially Dallas, we stand behind the Cowboys, we stand behind the Mavericks, and also the Stars, right? So a lot of these major teams, there's a huge community behind that, but at the same time, the businesses around that as well, staple pieces that recognize the city. And so any brands that are trying to start up, but you really want to create something for your city, pay homage to that city.